Hey everyone, long time lurker, first time poster here. I never thought I'd be the one to spill my story on a confession subreddit, but here we are. To cut a long story short, my fiance and I have been together for 5 years. Every year, she goes on this girls only trip with her close friends. Something in my gut had been bothering me about these trips. Maybe it was the slight changes in her behavior afterward or the cryptic conversations I'd overhear. Instead of directly confronting her, I did something I'm deeply ashamed of. I hired a private investigator to watch her during her recent trip. I got back the results a few days ago, and as much as I regret violating her privacy, my suspicions were not unfounded. The PI presented evidence of her being unfaithful. It shattered my heart. Now, I'm caught in this storm of emotions. On one hand, I deeply regret snooping and not trusting her enough to talk about it. On the other, the betrayal from her side feels even more significant. I love her, but I can't see a future together anymore. How do I even approach this situation? Do I confess my snooping or just end things without revealing the reason? Any advice is welcome. Top comments. Just tell her you know. You don't have to give details. She's not going to tell all her details. Be glad you didn't marry her. Move on, dude. When she asks why, say I know you're cheating on me and leave it at that. Don't tell her anything else. Her punishment is never knowing how you know. When you completely stump her and she has no idea how you know, she'll start yelling at you, accusing you of all kinds of shit, telling you in bed and she needed more, that you have a small whatever, anything to get you to scream back. Don't lose your cool. Keep it together and just leave. Then ghost her. You're done. Here, update. Hey everyone, I've received many messages asking about the situation and I thought it was only right to keep those who cared in the loop. When my fiance returned from her trip, I tried my best to handle things maturely. I gave her a chance to be honest, asking if there was anything she wanted to share about her trip. Instead of coming clean, she gaslit me, making me question my own perceptions and reality. Having the evidence I had, I confronted her about the affair. She was taken aback and immediately asked how I knew. I told her the truth, that I hired a PI. I didn't want to falsely accuse any of her friends as some of you suggested, even though, honestly, part of me was tempted. She was furious. I've never seen her that angry in all our years together. Additionally, feeling it was the right thing to do, I shared the evidence with one of her friend's boyfriends so he could be informed and consider getting tested, if necessary. It was clear to both of us that our relationship had reached a breaking point. We broke up right then. Despite it being my house that I financially covered for us, I left and checked into a hotel, giving her space and asking her to pack her things and move out. We didn't communicate for a few days. When she finally reached out, she expressed a desire to talk and perhaps find a way to mend things. But the trust was broken, and I couldn't see a future for us. I told her no. And now, the part I didn't see coming, she's considering pursuing palimony payments. For those unaware, palimony is financial support provided to a partner in a non-marital relationship after separation. I've been informed that due to the relationship laws in our state, this could very well be a real concern. I've initiated the process of hiring a lawyer. During our relationship, I took on the majority of the financial responsibilities, including the mortgage. We had an unspoken understanding: my money is our money, her money is her money. Due to our significant income differential, I never thought that my generosity would come back to haunt me. There it is, the update many of you asked for. I wish I had a happier conclusion to this chapter, but life has its twists and turns. It seems she might have the upper hand in this final act, but I'm hoping for a fair resolution. Thank you for the support and advice. It has really meant a lot. Nothing wrong with hiring a PI. OOP had a good feeling and was able to confirm it. It sucks, but better to find out now than after marriage. I hope OOP blocks her, changes his locks, etc. and just makes any further communication go through a lawyer. I would not be surprised at all if GF is broke and can't even afford a lawyer. SS. That was the first story, and now we are going to listen to today's second story. We met in college and decided to not get married until we graduated to focus on our studies, and we have been dating for 4 years. He proposed to me during his last semester of his master's program, and he is studying to become a teacher. I graduated with my bachelor's not too long ago, but his graduation party is showing a side of him that I believe to be a deal breaker. His graduation party will be held at his father's, who has a pretty big backyard, and many of the people from our wedding will be going. However, unlike our wedding invitation list, he said he didn't want to invite Jason, fake name, and his parents because he recently came out as gay, and that led to a conversation. Jason and his parents were invited to our wedding, so that made me ask why he didn't want them at the graduation. He said that the wedding was an us thing and that he was willing to compromise because it was our wedding. But when it came to the graduation, he said it was a him thing because he was the one who graduated, so he didn't have to compromise because he did the schoolwork. When I asked what he meant by compromise, he said he'd tolerate Jason at our wedding because that's what couples do, but the graduation was about him. When I asked if he'd support potential future children that came out, he said he'd tolerate it for me, although he disagreed with it. It is my fault for not asking that question earlier before we became engaged, but he made his stance clear. He said he'd be more distant to a child that turned out to be gay and would probably let me do more of the parenting if so. He's always been a gentleman and amazing to me, but he grew up religious, parents were Christians, although he's said he's not anymore. I don't think we have a future after. He said he would distance himself from a child who came out and leave it to me, and I just want to ask how to tell him so. I'm thinking another conversation like we had, but I want to ask for the best way to go about it. What would be the best way to tell him that I don't think we have a future together given his stance? Update 1. A lot of people suggested talking to my fiance in an open space or my parents' home about my deal breaker, but I wasn't able to do my parents' home, although I got to talk to them and they agreed with my reasonings. They said they were disturbed by how easily he admitted he would distance himself from a potentially gay child and that it was a good thing it came out before the wedding. I also got a lot of people calling me out for not broaching the topic of gay children or how he felt about LGBTQ in the years we dated, and that's on me for never thinking to bring up going forward. It will be something I ask early on before getting emotionally invested in a relationship. Because I couldn't speak to him at my parents' place, we ended up talking at a place we went for lunch, and I told him that I couldn't go forward in the relationship because he repeatedly said he wouldn't accept any children who came out. But when I said that, he didn't try to take it back and said that he was willing to compromise for me. He said it was better than pretending to agree with coming out and that he was being honest. But I told him I was done because of his beliefs, and he didn't take it well. He took it fine at the restaurant and finished lunch without saying much else, and he kept saying I was overreacting and that he couldn't believe I wanted to end the relationship over him wanting to compromise. My parents have been helping me with canceling the wedding, but he took his spite online. He made a Facebook rant a few days after that doubled down on a lot of the things he said, and he said he made it to explain his side of things. He said that I was breaking up with him despite him honest about his willingness to compromise and not hiding it like many couples internalize things. He also said our country was changing things that was always wrong, such as gay rights, and he said that people were trying to shove gay rights down everyone's throats. He also said that you can't say anything these days because of cancel culture and Me Too catering to sensitive people. And he said that the value of education was dropping because people were becoming more stupid. He also said that that was why he wanted to become a teacher, because there weren't enough good ones, and those were just a few of the things in his rant. He also said that Me Too enabled people from the consequences of their behavior when they should instead look at themselves in the mirror and how they dressed too. He never said anything about Me Too during the duration of our relationship or anything that outspoken about gay rights until his graduation planning, and it was honestly surprising to read what he wrote. As I said above, I will be asking these questions at the start of dating going forward. Lastly, some people suggested reporting my ex-fiance to the school in my previous post because they said he could be harmful to gay students, and I especially agree. After the post he made, I did receive a lot of hateful DMs from people who agreed with my ex and said that I'd be wrong to contact the school. Some even accused me of considering canceling him in DMs and a few comments on my last post, but I don't see it as that. I see calling the school as something that's important because this mindset is harmful to so many, and he is already a substitute teacher at an elementary school he began subbing before he graduated. I want to ask what would be the best way to go about it. Whether that would be an email, phone call, or potential visit to do it in person. I have already screenshotted the post he made, and I have only answered questions about the breakup from people who have called so far. My parents are helping me with some people who have called them too, but that is my last update too. I didn't really plan to make another post, but I received a lot more DMs after my update was shared that made me wanna come back, and I read through many of the comments there too, which made me wanna address something to those who called me out for not seeing any signs of his homophobia earlier. You're absolutely right. I just assumed the best and never thought to question it, but I will now ask the tough questions going forward at the beginning of future relationships, such as political stances along with opinions on race and gender, and that should help prevent time from being wasted on people similar to my ex. I just assumed the best because we have another friend who is trans and was always cool with him, and my ex used to like the posts that he made when he came out some years back. He also liked a post that he shared at a pride walk, so there was that too. Going forward, I won't assume anymore because at the end of the day, a like really doesn't mean anything. I sent an email with an attachment of his now deleted Facebook rant to a few places. The school he subs at was subbing at before he graduated, and the school district along with the county office of education where we live, thanks to advice provided by a commenter who I DM'd for more advice. I also told people I knew about why we were breaking up and showed them the post, and that did most of the talking for me. I broke up with my ex before contacting the school, and I decided on a text because we didn't live together, and also had my dad return the ring to his parents' home where he gave it to his mom and had minimum interaction. I was too scared cowardly to do it myself, so I took them on their offer to drop it off for me. In the text, I told him that I couldn't marry him due to his homophobia comments and opinion, along with telling him that my parents would drop off the ring so that it was in writing, and I blocked him after sending. He didn't have any belongings at my place, but he's been livid about the way I handled it, and I'll admit that I was afraid to do it face to face because I was a coward. But he took to Facebook again. He made another post talking about how dad returned the ring instead of me and that I didn't give him credit for being honest about his willingness to compromise, and proceeded to ghost him, pretty much erasing the purpose of his deleted post by referring to the same points. I'll admit that I was cowardly about how I handled it, but what really surprised me was when his dad took to Facebook about it too, and he accused me of canceling him for an opinion he shared, along with saying that communication in marriage is dead. He called me retard in his post and that people like me was the reason Trump lost because no one had morals. He also said that Trump needed to win again to stop cancel culture because his son was punished for his opinion. I want to remind you that my ex was not religious despite his parents being big Christians, but I'm guessing he vented to them about it and is back involved in some way given the post. The last thing I'll say is this, and I kept it to the end because I'm not looking for advice, as I'm only taking it from a lawyer on this matter that my parents have helped me contact. My ex called my job and apparently told them that I had CP and that was why he left, and I don't know where he pulled that out of his ass from. I don't know if he was talked to about the emails I sent to the district involving his post, but my dad seems to think that it might be retaliation, although he's not sure because it's only been a few weeks. He thinks it could be retaliation for my letter to the district or for ghosting him, but we're looking into a lawyer as I was recently made aware of the accusation at my job when I was talked to, and that is where my focus lies. I'm not going to make any future posts because I have still received a lot of hateful DMs telling me that I was wrong to report him to the school, but I stand with my decision to do so. I really appreciate the advice I received and hope that at the least, telling the school will have done some good. Someone also suggested looking into LGBTQ things to support and give energy to, and I'll look into that once I'm past this job situation. Update 3. I said that last time was gonna be my last post, but I really mean it with this one. Before I get into why though, I just wanna say again that I'm sorry for not seeing his homophobia earlier. Many people have cursed at me in DMs asking how 4 years of dating never showed it, and I thought I apologized in my last post, but I kept getting those messages, so I just wanna say again that I'm sorry and that going forward, I'll ask for political gender beliefs on the first date to not waste time with potentially hateful people. I'm just tired of being yelled at about it, and there have been some supportive comments too, but the majority of them are either calling me out for not seeing it or for wrongfully canceling him and agreeing with many of the points his father made in his Facebook rant. If the news was on TV as we were doing something eating, my ex didn't voice his homophobia then as many asked. And when we talked about kids, it was wrong of me to not ask what he'd think if they came out.
Lesson learned for next time. As previously mentioned, we also had a friend who came out, and he's very close to them and accepting. But with that out of the way, I'll get to why this is my last post aside from the majority of hateful DMs. My ex's dad hasn't stopped posting about me on Facebook, and it's all pretty much the same cancel culture rants from last time and calling me a leftist among other things. I have also received a number of social media DMs spouting similar hate to the DMs I received on, and I directly blame him and his dad for this. I mentioned last time that I was looking into a lawyer, and my parents have helped me with the search, which has been helpful because of how his dad continued. His dad posted my socials and home address to one of his Facebook posts, thus why I deleted my Instagram, and he said that he was going to cancel me back too. Another reason I contacted a lawyer was because I received a threatening DM, but that's the most I'm gonna go into specifics. I only received one of those, but it was enough to make me and my parents want to be on the safer side, and that's another reason why I'm done making these posts, because I want this whole thing to be over soon. I really appreciate the supportive DMs I received in the midst of the hateful ones, and I also appreciate the majority of supportive comments that was sent to me by someone in a decimeter too. I really hope the whole thing is over soon because it's been draining, but hopefully the lawyer can at least provide some peace of mind. I think Fiance knew of her stance of LGBTQ rights, but made it appear he had the same beliefs that is liking her friend's posts. Once he felt comfortable, or that she wouldn't leave, then he decided to show his true colors. It just goes to show you never really know someone no matter how long you're with them. Thanks for listening everyone. If you enjoyed today's story, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to Red Relationships to never miss a future upload.